You got spare game codes or any digital goods? There is a place you can sell them in less than 1 minute. Watch. Go to g2a.com. Click Start Selling. Fast login. Go to My Account and click on Selling tab. Sell new item. Enter name, code, set a price. And done. G2A.com Digital Marketplace. Global selling simplified.
Now, welcome back, guys, to the losers match of Group C here. We have Amaz versus BoarControl. Now, this previous match was, I guess, a German versus German, Gara versus Life Coach, a 3-0 sweep for Life Coach, making it 6-0 in total. Interesting to see if that happens again now. Now, looking at the players, what can you tell me about these players, Monk?
Well, I think everyone's very familiar with Amaz. He's playing 3, I would say, very aggressive decks today. He's, I believe he's bringing mid-range Druid, a fairly aggressive deck. He's bringing Zoo, and I believe his last deck is Hunter. So just an all-out very aggressive lineup, and it kind of fell to the control lineup of Life Coach. Meanwhile, his opponent, he's brought fairly standard decks, with the exception of his Ramp Druid that unfortunately fell 0-3 to Gara. And I definitely want to see that Ramp Druid coming out yet again. And it's like a deck with Cro-Magnus in it. It's just so amazing in Druid. I believe he's even the first Druid player to ever put Cro-Magnus in his deck in competitive play.
I'd say that's pretty likely now. Looking at, I guess, the state of this group here, we have Life Coach advancing in first place, and then the winner of this match will face Gara for that last slot in the round of 8. Looking at the decks as well, again, I mean, we have the Druid for Amaz and the Druid for BoarControl. I think BoarControl will need to win with the Druid. That'll be the key in this series, as I think winning with the Warrior should be fairly easy, and the Warlock can go either way. But I feel like the Druid is the weak link, as both the Hunter and that Zoo should be quite strong against the Druid.
Yeah, well, that being said, that Druid, it's not a mid-range Druid, so it has a lot of taunts. It has Sen'jin, Sludge Belchers, Druid of the Claw, even it has Ancients of War. So I think if BoarControl can stabilize early on, he'll have a pretty good advantage against all the aggressive decks from Amaz.
He seemed really upset after that last series, was up 0-2 and then lost 3 games in a row, and he doesn't look happy at all, whereas Amaz has more experience and definitely looks ready to go for this second series of the day for him.
Yeah, really great hand from BoarControl, and I say really great hand, and what I just actually mean is that he has a Fire War Axe, by far the most important card in Warrior against Warlock.
Have to agree there. The Slam should be mediocre, but the Deathbite and the I guess the Enormous Inventor both going to be exceptionally strong, and now he goes out with the Juggler, an aggressive approach here.
Yeah, and to be honest, even if you don't slam for maximum value, you can just treat it as a Dark Bomb, because a lot of the Warlock minions, they have 2 HP, like the Knife Juggler, for instance, like Flame Imp. It's still okay value.
It is slightly safer, I guess, to go for the coin out, or go for the Juggler first if you're facing a Warrior without the coin. So that's maybe something you were thinking about. But now looking at the scenario, we have Frothing Berserker incoming, and probably will be met with a Gang boss, probably I guess into a Deathbite.
Pretty strong overall. This is one of those matchups where you don't have to combo the Frothing Berserker. You just throw it out as a 2/4 that just gets additional value, and you force your opponent to deal with it. I do though question just killing off the Haunted Creeper, because that gives your opponent, for example with the Abusive Sergeant, that allows them the opportunity to clear this Frothing Berserker. So on the other hand though, you do want a Deathbite on turn 4, so I can see merits in both types of action.
Yeah, I think this attack with the Fireworks is definitely indicated that he's going to want to go for the Deathbite on the following turn. Now we do see the Abusive coming down with the Egg. I don't mind this, especially after seeing that crazy game of Life Coach earlier on now. But in this case, I think the Enormous Inventor is probably the stronger choice, but the second Deathbite coming down, this actually starts becoming weak. I mean, Deathbite is always great, but a second Deathbite without really the spells to support it doesn't seem too strong.
Yeah, I mean, you'd rather have 2 than 0, right? So I guess this is okay.
It surely is. It's all about buying time until the turn 8 when you can go for the that Warsong Patron. I mean, he will be able to swing a Deathbite every single turn until then, so guess it's not all bad, yeah.
And now it's like the same thing that you were referring to. Like he has to get these Deathbite out somehow, and I think this is like actually an alright position. What do you think was the rationale behind not playing the Argus in the previous turn?
He's been going really aggressively throughout his turns here, and that's probably just the scenario again. He went for, you know, Juggler over coined out Juggler even over Haunted Creeper. Now goes for more aggressive plots. I think it's basically he wants to end the game fast, and I mean I don't blame him against Patron, as you know Patron is quite weak against Sue in is quite strong against Sue in general. So you just want to finish the game fast as the Patron, as the Sue. So.
Yeah. And it just looks like, to be honest, like every game it seems to be Amaz falling a little short with his aggressive decks. Like he's being controlled perfectly right now. Like 2 Death Spites, an Execute to take care of the Doom Guard, a Slam even to draw more cards and to even like maybe even proc the Execute with. It just seems like BoarControl has all the answers.
He seemed slightly off in the series against Life Coach. I mean, to be fair, Life Coach was playing brilliant Hearthstone, so it's you know quite really hard to match that in general. But I don't know, there's something missing. It feels like with the Master today. I don't know what it is. I kind of like slamming the defender here, I have to say.
Slamming defender. I can see the merit there. Would you clear off the egg and then re-equip your Death Spite just to like have an answer for another for the spider that comes out of the egg?
I would, yeah. Seems strong. I mean, you want to save that Execute for a possible Doomguard or a Mal'Ganis even, possibly even Dr. Boom.
Yeah, it seems to be the play, and I think it's, to be honest, everything's going perfectly for BoarControl. Like, he's going to be sitting at 20 health right now, but I think he's like fairly okay with it. He still has the Armor Smith in hand, and he's actually, okay, this makes a lot of sense actually, to use the Execute here. I think it makes more sense because you drew the second Execute.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, considering the scenario here now, looking at the hand from Amaz, he's playing fast. Drops looks to be the white color, yeah. I mean, even if he gets the Doomguard out, it's gonna be rough. As we do know that BoarControl does have the Execute, the second Execute. I mean, now he's gonna set up the Deathbite for that perfect combo on turn 8. And I mean, can you imagine if the Imp Gang Boss comes down, how much value that is gonna give BoarControl?
Yeah, BoarControl is very happy about the Imp Gang Boss. He's gonna take full control of the board. In fact, BoarControl. By the way, like, do you know the history behind the name BoarControl?
Could it possibly be something with the old Matrix Hunter playing the 1-mana board?
Yeah. Mostly that. Everyone was using Stoza and people called it BoarControl, but like there was this one game I remember where Firebat, he like this was before Firebat became world champion, and like this was basically when no one knew who Firebat was, but he teched in a Stone Tusk Boar into his Miracle Rogue deck, and his rationale there was like basically just to get BoarControl and also to proc traps, of course. That was the actual rationale. But it was so funny because in one Control Warrior game where he played Miracle Rogue against Control Warrior, he actually he would have had lethal if he like actually saved the boar with his Shadow Step. But unfortunately, he was like, okay, I can't win this game, so he just threw out the boar out there and just used it for 1 damage to the face.
But yeah, I definitely remember when Firebat was in Copenhagen Wolves. It was with, I believe it was Backspace as well. That was not on the team, and then they kind of won big, I guess, after that BlizzCon. But I kind of like killing the giant here. He's gotta kill it with Execute, right? Just about sequencing it correctly.
Probably, Yeah, this is pretty much perfect. Like, the Doomguard's not going to help you here. And I wouldn't be even surprised if Amaz just, like, concedes in the very next turn.
With that Amaz mid especially. I think this is like slightly off optimal. I think had he I guess not attacked into the Incarnate boss with the Patron before the Whirlwind, he could have gotten more value out of that. He only has 1 living currently. He's playing it safe, but if in some way BoarControl can clear this, it's gonna be there's gonna be no coming back from that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as we can see, like, there's pretty much no way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he can clear out the War Song, but what does that really do? The one chance though Amaz has is, like, if BoarControl draws completely dead for the next 3 or 4 turns, then Amaz can leverage the Warlock hero power, tap every turn. But as we can see, like, that's not gonna happen.
The perfect hand here for BoarControl. He gets all the draw he needs, has the execute ready, even the axe to kill the 3/3. It's just too perfect.
Yeah, indeed. Just nothing going Amaz's way today, and to be honest, like, it feels like Life Coach, he went 6-0 today, and this might be a scenario where Amaz goes 0-6.
Could definitely see that. I mean, don't think you can count him out yet, as there's a lot of other options, and looking at the lineup, the Patron was always going to be a bit tough, I think, especially for the Warlock. And I think, looking at the match play, there was nothing you could have done differently to, pull out ahead against that draw. And when you have Deathspite after Deathspite into combo, there's nothing you can do really.
Yeah.
As a Warlock.
Yeah, the problem is that like, there are a lot of lineups in Hearthstone right now that are basically ignoring Patron Warrior altogether. They just regard it as, like, you can't, like, have 100% to beat it anyway. And we've seen lineups previously, like in deck battles, for instance, where players bring Handlock, they bring Ramp Druid, and they bring what's another good deck that counters Patron Warrior? Maybe Rogue. And they expect to just, like, kill off the Patron Warriors, but that never happens because Patron Warrior just sneaks off a win. Whereas the other side of the coin, there are some lineups that go for, I will never be Patron Warrior. And for example, Hawkeye did that kind of lineup in DreamHack, and he actually advanced to the round of 8 out of a 128-man bracket. A Swiss bracket, actually, by going something like Mid-Range Shaman, Mid-Range Paladin, and another deck that had no chance to beat Patron Warrior. But still...
And the Malilok, yeah, I actually faced him on stage in that same tournament. And I was actually playing a counter Patron lineup. Along with Oscar, we both went 5-0 with that, and then we had Hawkeye that was playing, I guess, it wasn't playing Patron, and so things kind of fell apart, but excellent play from him, honestly. Hawkeye is such a good player. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him in the coming months.
Oh yeah, he's actually qualified for the next Gfinity tournament. He got 2nd place in CEN versus EU, and he would have gotten 1st if he didn't play a Wolf Rider as a Magna Rager, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm. Now, Innovate, Coin, and Nurse. This could be epic.
Mm-hmm.
The Innovate is so strong, though. I mean, in my opinion, stronger than the Valkot in this matchup. Now, we see a Mad Scientist possibly coming down. I mean, I think you just go for the Nourish here.
Turn to Nourish. I'm actually really glad that BoarControl went for this deck. It's the best deck so far, and if he goes out of this tournament, I definitely want to see him playing this deck as much as possible.
I mean, it's kind of the perfect scenario for him at the moment, except for the last 2 cards he's drawn. But I don't know. I mean, if he goes for the Nourish, he could easily go for whatever he wants next turn, and I mean, I don't know. I think I would have gone for the Nourish there. Heifer not what he wants to see.
Yeah, I think he might be scared about going for Nourish. Like, you're probably suggesting Nourish for Mana Crystals, right?
Yeah, for Mana Crystal for sure.
Yeah, the problem is, like, in one of the previous games, he actually ran out of cards. And if you just Nourish, and the rest of your hand is something like, I guess, Keeper, Swipe, those are pretty good. But if you have, like, BGH and Faceless against a Face Hunter, if you run out of cards after that, you can, like, be in a pretty bad position, even though you have infinite mana.
Yeah, I mean, we look at this scenario. Would he rather play a Nourish now or a Sun Fury? I mean, the hero power was not bad against Hunter. You know, you get that one. The damage to Hunter's face is actually really important, as you do need to kill him quickly or he gets too many draws now. I like this quick shot though. It's strong. This will force a swipe.
Yeah, I think too many players are like, they're reluctant to use a quick shot if it doesn't draw them a card, but I think this is perfect here because you have a hero power every single turn that you can leverage in, and that allows you to it acts as like pseudo cards basically, because the Hunter hero power is actually like stronger than other hero powers in some ways. It has a purpose basically, whereas the Druid hero power, it's kind of like 50-50. You don't kill your opponent that fast, and you don't like heal up as fast.
That's true. Is there a possibility of going for Faceless on the board and trading in? Wouldn't that be something?
It's actually something he's considering like very heavily right now, especially because the there's not many things you can Faceless here. Like you can Faceless, obviously best case scenario, you can Faceless an Ancient of War, but if you have an Ancient of War on board anyway, you're probably winning, or your opponent silence your Ancient of War, and then you can't Faceless like just a vanilla 5/5 there.
I think this is looking so bleak now for Amaz. I mean, you only need, I guess, a few taunts and BoarControl has it, but it doesn't have any taunts currently, and Isera, Faceless and BTS are just completely dead. He's still relying on that, I guess, previous glory with that swipe Sun Fury and Keeper, but still, the bow coming down, he needs to draw something passive in the next 2 turns or so, or he's gonna be dead. It looks to be. Scenarios is not enough.
Do we go with the 3/3 Faceless?
Oh.
You have to feel like you have to use the Nourish in some way here. Either to draw into a potential Ancient of Lore next turn, or to ramp up into a Scenarios later on.
I think so, but even a Scenarios next turn is gonna be weak. I think you have to go for it and hope to draw into an Ancient of War or something like that.
Yeah, like, BoarControl isn't in a very good position right now, because he didn't use his Nourish early on. But can you imagine if he used Nourished early on? Like, he drew into all these like situational. He drew into Scenarios. He drew into the Sarah. Would that make that much of a difference? I guess maybe you could use Scenarios early on, but that might be the only difference.
And let's look at the scenario now. If he had 7 mana, you wouldn't have the coin technically. But he could have played, let's say, a BTH and hero powered, and also have hero powered there on turn 2. So to have, BTH out to possibly trade into this Arcane Golem, and which probably would have been traded by the bow. Possibly not though. I think he may go for only face, but Amaz just had to take this game. This really fizzled here for BoarControl.
Yeah, Scenarios is really the only play here, and even after that, he's just dead on board. So
really
once
is,
again, it's like BoarControl's Druid deck has been really failing him lately. It seems to be designed to be like, first of all, it's designed to be anti-control in some ways, with the Ysera, with the Cro-Magnus, with the Scenarios, I guess. But in many other ways, it's designed to be anti-aggro with Sen'jins, with Ancients of War. But I feel like he tilted more towards the control side. Instead of Cro-Magnus, we have a lot of more defensive decks running Sunwalker, for example, if you're running Ramp Druid, of course.
He's playing almost like a priest in some way. Now, he does have the Warlock and the Druid left with Amaz. Still not getting the win with the Druid, but I feel like it's in a strong position overall. I mean, BoarControl has lost his strongest deck, and Amaz has kind of lost one of his mediocre decks. I guess against this lineup here.
Yeah. I think I think the series will honestly come down to whether BoarControl can get a win with this Druid, because Amaz, he's been struggling with all of his decks, but BoarControl especially has been struggling with the Druid. It's going to be a Zoo Mirror this game, and it's a pretty interesting one, I have to say. I feel like the key card in this matchup is actually the Implosion, because it's the only card in your deck that can does something from your hand rather than like requiring something from the board. And also just like the many 1/1s that you spawn are really hard for your opponent to deal with. An even better play would be Knife Juggler into Implosion, which is why like Knife Juggler it definitely has taunt in this matchup.
I actually think the key card in Shu vs. Shu is the coin.
Okay. I knew you were gonna say something like that I wouldn't think of, basically. But go ahead. Why is the coin the
Because if you can get a similar situation with a knife juggler out, you almost always win. But there's a few scenarios. Also, like having a more consistent curve is so insane. I mean, we have now the possibility of Amaz going Flame Imp into Gang Boss. Nothing that BoarControl can really do to counter that at the moment. He has the Sea Giant, it is also an amazing draw here for BoarControl. Actually, this might change him a bit. Maybe Mortal Coil.
The Mortal Coil is an interesting one, and I believe, was it BoarControl that had Sylvanas in his deck?
I think it was the Amaz.
Okay, it was a boss. So there's actually like kind of like a demon deck going around that's not exactly Zoo, but it has 2 Mortal Coils and Sylvanas and Emperor Thorzen. And it's very rare, but I have seen some lists of it. It's basically like a more mid-rangey Zoo deck, even more mid-rangey than the typical Demon Zoo.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, optional cards. People are in Dr. Boom, Mal'Ganis, Sea Giant, and at this point you can't really fit in all of them without cutting stuff like Direwolf Alpha, for example. So it's a bit of a struggle, you know, towards, I guess, going anti-Druid versus just having a better consistent curve for the early game.
Yeah.
But 2 Voidter seems to be the standard now. I think this has been an easy Mortal Coil to start with.
Yeah, it's that was a great play from Amaz, not going for the Imp Gang boss. Like the taunt is actually really valuable because now BoarControl he can't activate the egg.
So many possibilities.
That's true. I mean, even, you know, in this scenario, we see Amaz using the coin, and he is just way ahead. It may not look that far ahead, but having a taunt and a Haunted Creeper, the possibilities are endless with that, and the Voidwalker just completely denies this power overwhelming. I actually think just Flame Imp is the correct call here, and then end turn.
Yeah, this is a really interesting turn because next turn you have to suspect that some kind of power overwhelming plus Void Terror will come out. So like, BoarControl actually has to figure out how much of this hand do I want to give up. And he decides pretty much all of it. I want to get all of it out by turn 4. So if I top deck a Doomguard on one of the next 2 turns, then I'm going to be able to just play it without too much of a drawback.
That's true. Now, looking at this, I mean, in the scenario where he trades into the Flame Imp, this Void Terror will be the card he needs. I mean, still, even if the Void Terror comes down, it's still going to be too much. And the Sea Giant is the key card here for BoarControl. This makes it wide open. I mean, BoarControl be ahead on the board for a little while, but I mean, as soon as Mal'Ganis comes down, that should be it.
Yeah, exactly. BoarControl kind of trying to figure out if he wants to suck up both these minions or leave the 2/1 on board. And it seems to me that like, the problem is, like, if you leave the 2/1 on board, you have to think one of the 1/1s will trade. So it actually decreases the Sea Giant value anyway. So I think maybe I would prefer to take up the 2/1 as well. You also have to take it into account Owl, which can definitely ruin your day. So this is definitely the more conservative play there.
My thinking is, if he has a Direwolf Alpha or a power overwhelming, he'll clear anyway. But now Sea Giant coming down, okay. Don't mind that, but this might get a little bit dangerous. Now I think if BoarControl didn't have this didn't have this Sea Giant himself, I would give Amaz, you know, definitely the tempo in this game. But I mean, the possibility now, I think will all come down to Amaz's next draw.
Yeah. Is there any merit to actually going for tap Direwolf? get a good trade into the your opponent's 8-8?
I don't think so, no. You have the pressure now on the board and you need to go for it at this point. I think you just go all to face here.
Alright, to the dome we go. Yeah, these trades like don't really make any sense. None of the trades on board really make any sense, right? That's really interesting. Wow.
Unless you're playing around power whelming or I mean you see the power whelming or defender of Arcus, but still, like the thing is, okay, if you go for face, he needs one of those 2 cards or he's dead. There's no way he can come back from that. But now he can actually come back without. He's definitely top deck it, so it's going to work out better with BoarControl. But I think, you know, considering the average hand, it's just not the way to go. Now, this might be a crucial juggle.
Yeah, it could be the game deciding juggle.
I think you go for the Void Walker no matter what, though. In this case, you absolutely ignore the Void Color as well.
I think once again you have to go for face, and I think it's really fair to say, Caldi, that you definitely disagreed with the last play that BoarControl did.
I mean, he's playing scared, really. Like he's thinking of the possible ways he can lose this game, and then playing around those. But you can only do that if you're miles ahead, not if you're only slightly ahead like he is. You don't trade, you go face. No. Oh.
Well, I guess the bright side here is there's a better chance that the Knife Juggler hits the 8-1. But will he get punished for that play?
I mean, there's no way you attack the...
oh my god.
There's no reason to attack the Void Color, you can just go face. I mean, you're not going to gain anything from that, really.
Yeah, you have to be your opponent will probably make the trade for you, right, on your next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, BoarControl definitely living up to his name, always trying to get that board control instead of going for face. If he named himself like hit the face, I think he would have won this game by now.
I mean, his advantage was not in the late game power, it was in the burst potential where Amaz couldn't really cope with that, but now we see just all of the burst is out of his hand, and this is looking really sad.
Are we gonna see yet another trade?
He can't.
I think he's going to, just based on like how he's been playing lately.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking, okay, my opponent had 1 demon. Okay, there's no way he can have 2 demons, right?
I mean, in general in so you do trade, but if you have plus 8 or 9 damage, you know, the minimal amount of gain is just outweighed by that huge potential in the late game of not being able to tap, because you put the Sulok down to 8 health or something, he can't be tapping more than once or twice without getting a taunt. So in the late game you'll be getting 2 cards for each one of his cards, and a 5 card difference can just easily be the game.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So a huge tell now. If you go for the Direwolf, there's no question that he has a... there's no way that he has a strong demon, but if he goes to the Juggler, he definitely, I mean, has a demon, as we see immediately now. Attack coming down. Again, I mean, you have to go to face at this point. But it's too little too late.
If you use the Argus though, there's quite a possibility that one of the juggles will hit into the bombs, then the bombs will kill off one of your minions. So like there's even a possibility that yeah, BoarControl will actually hit the face first with his minions before he goes for the Argus. And there's also a possibility he only hits with the Knife Juggler, because the yeah, I think you Defender of Argus here first, because the 2/4 gets up to 5 HP. There's no way a bomb kills you then.
Not really, and probably a huge relief for him to see nothing down. This actually might theoretically be possible, even though it's not looking too good. Yeah, what is he considering at this point? Like, is he considering running into the bombs?
I don't know. Oh my god. Well, he just killed off his own Knife Juggler because of that. Again, BoarControl just making like the trades for his opponent, where I think his opponent would have made the exact same trades. Although, you know what? Actually, this, as long as the juggle doesn't hit the 3/1, this actually works somewhat okay for BoarControl.
It's, I think the screen is lagging a bit. It's actually a 3-4 in this
it's a
case.
3-4. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit delayed here now. But for Amaz, I mean, this was definitely BoarControl's game to lose, but he's been trading non-stop and really giving Amaz all the option to get back into this game.
You know what's funny is that when Amaz started playing Zoo, I was talking to a lot of pro players, and they were all saying that Amaz was actually trading way too much in Zoo. So it's kind of funny that his opponent this time playing Zoo, now he's trading too much.
It's a tendency, I guess, you know, of the players who don't have the highest amount of experience, you know. In that case, I mean, if you think about, you know, I guess aggressive players, Firebat, for example, if you look at Firebat's play, Firebat plays super aggressively. He often just goes to face, and it turns out to be great most of the time. But this should be quite delicious here for BoarControl. Do see the power up method, so he can clear the Mal'Ganis. This actually might get quite close.
All the trades here are really awkward though.
I think the Dr. Boom has to die, and then probably the 2-2. 2-1, I mean, yeah.
Do you,
I think in this case you have to trade, absolutely
What?
trade, because your health total is quite low, and you basically die if he has an owl, but...
Yeah. What about like... There's also a possibility you just put your opponent down to like 5 HP, and then just hope for a Doom Guard, which will like eventually come.
The thing is, you don't get any value from the 3-3s then, and they essentially turn to 1-1s immediately. Now, okay, the powerwhelming is gonna have to come down, but he can go Sylvanas, powerwhelming, trade into the 3-1. He's gonna see it immediately. Of course, it's Amaz. He's gonna see it immediately. Steal the Mal'Ganis and win this game. Amaz, you genius.
I mean, this is the exact kind of play Amaz is known for, stealing like their opponent's big minions with Sylvanas, basically. That and Ragnaros hits, I have to say.
And BoarControl is devastated. He even plays the Juggler last, so he doesn't damage the Mal'Ganis that he's gonna be stealing. What a play! And the thing is, like, he's seen this so often because Sylvanas was actually 5 mana for a time, so he's played Sylvanas a million times. So something like this, you know, might take maybe a few minutes to figure out, you know, or maybe a whole turn, but Amaz sees it instantly.
Not lethal yet. But
And there we go.
Yeah, just like 1 damage from the Warlock deck, and pretty much anything is 1 damage. And there we go. Amaz, he takes it. Now he's 2-1 in the lead. And BoarControl, I was really expecting him to take at least one of these matches with the Zoo. I was really expecting the Druid to be the one failing him there.
Yeah, he basically played himself out of that game. He had it. It was way ahead, and just kind of threw that one, sadly. So Amaz only has the Druid left. Druid is going to be the hardest one for him to get a win with, like we talked about earlier. So I think maybe if I was BoarControl, to start with the Zoo deck and kind of figure out what type of Druid this is. I mean, you've seen most of it probably as he was watching the series against Life Coach, but
I think to be honest,
there, yeah.
I think BoarControl probably knows like almost every single card in that Druid deck. Amaz, like he's like if he researched Amaz, he would know that Amaz played in Onog over the weekend, and he would just like he could like basically look up that deck list. And I think Amaz, because he's a busy guy, he probably didn't have time to like make like 1 or 2 card changes to the deck list, so he's probably submitting that exact deck list.
I think it's likely, yeah. Now looking at this starting hand, I mean, Shade is mediocre against Sue. We have the Innovate, which is great against Sue. I think I kind of like keeping just him Gang Boss, maybe.
Yeah, in fact, I will go to that site and I will tell you every card in Amaz's deck. Like the real tech cards are the he runs 2 BGHs, Harrison Jones, Lothar, 1 Sludge Belcher, Dr. Boom, and Ragnaros. So those are really the cards to watch out for. Cards that like aren't typically seen in every single Druid deck.
And Flame Power as good as it gets. Dr. Boom is also quite strong against against Druid, especially in the late game, because you tend to zoom ahead in the early game as the Zoo, then the Druid struggles to get back, often wrathing for 3, for example, instead of drawing, innovating out, removal, but then you just kind of zoom ahead, so it's almost like the Zoo version of a 7 Hymen.
Yeah, exactly. What's a really interesting dynamic is if Amaz draws a second Innervate, he'll be able to double Innervate out the Dr. Boom of his own, and then the Druid becomes the aggro deck in that scenario. Kind of a few boring turns here and there. Just probably the egg will be coming down. Like, there's just not really much to think about here. He has the Abusive Sergeant to follow up with as well.
I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, the egg should probably be procced for the next 3 or 4 turns, but he will eventually draw a power running and then maybe kill a Druid or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, not too exciting here. Not sure if you play the Abusive Sergeant. It acts as a body, and you're going to your opponent's turn 4 play. So you probably want to play around swipe to some extent here.
I think in general, the health total for the Druid minions is generally 5+, so having an Abusive Sergeant to supplement is really good. But I mean, looking at why would he be coining out the Imgang boss? It was unlikely that he was going to be trading. Let's think about this: the possible minions that Druid has. There's the Shade. Don't need to get Imgang boss out early for that. There's going to be a Swipe. It's not really good. Druid the Claw. Paladin Sweater. None of these do well against.
Yeah.
You don't do well against any of these with the Imgang boss.
Yeah, not only that, I feel like the now he lost his activator for the Nubian Egg, and that Nubian Egg is just completely dead now.
It really is.
It could be dead like right now. It could be just dead because of the Keeper though. But if he didn't have that Keeper, I think he would have given up his only way to get that Nubian Egg out there.
I mean, he's almost playing this again like it's Zoo versus Zoo. I'm feeling like Amaz is playing this perfectly. Now, Defender is decent. This might actually pay off.
Defender is very good here. It's also another way to activate the O2. And it fits the curve pretty well. Plus, you don't really have any other way to get rid of the Shade really easily. Using Implosion on a 3-1 doesn't feel the best, and you probably don't want to run into it with your Gang boss too much. Maybe you want to keep the health on that, even though you are going up into a turn where you're going up to get your opponent's Druid the Claw. Also, I feel like you need that Implosion later on for the big taunts that'll be coming up. Whereas this 3-1 minion can be dealt with just with the Defender of Argus.
Yeah, I think no question. It often feels like there's certain cards that always stick in your hand, For example, Battle Rage for the Warrior always seems to be in your hand when you're top decking. Defender of Argus, especially when you have 2 of those. Quickster is another one, always seems to be in your hand, And Defender of Argus is definitely one of those. So he's just baiting a swipe at this point.
That was actually pretty interesting here. I guess now Amaz doesn't have any good trades, but he realizes that was a mistake. Or maybe he's just commenting on how he got so unlucky getting a 2 roll on the Implosion. But now, like, what Amaz can do is he can just put up a Druid of the Claw, maybe go for face or kill the O2, and just go from there. Make his opponent do the trades for him once again. Dr. Boom again though is obviously very good. Dr. 5 going down.
It's not the best board to have a Dr. Boom on though. Gotta admit, because you can just trade into the Boom Boss and they'll do virtually nothing, but still the 7/7 is still there, and I mean, I don't even know about this.
I mean, this is the one deck that doesn't play BGH or Shadow Word Death, for instance. So I think this is fine. Dr. Boom's like the whole board can trade into it, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the flip side would be power overwhelming possibility if he went for the Druid of the Claw. Perfect way for BoarControl to get back into this game, but I mean, the scenario now,
So many.
I think you just have to kind of start fading into the boom bots with the two health imps that will come down from the Defender of Arcus.
It'll actually be really relevant if something survives here, because he really needs that taunt to get rid of to like block the damage from Dr. Boom. And that's really interesting from him. Like, he isn't trading. Surprise, surprise.
There's no reason not to attack with the imp gank, but because you get an extra minion, and it's so likely that it won't make a difference in that case. And now you get to cherry pick the best possible trades here.
Yeah, the two bombs will get really good trades here as well.
It should be a full clear. I mean, from board, what can he possibly play? Amaz hasn't seen the Sylvanas, which would be amazing. But yeah, I think this is looking so bleak. You'll have to tap now and take even more damage next to him, probably because you can charge the Druid of the Claw into the Voidwalker. There's only one Defender of Arcus probably left, so it's even fewer cards to get back into this.
You know, this actually, from BoarControl, is actually not a bad hand. Like, regardless of what's on the opponent's side of the board, but it just feels so bad because you're giving up a turn 7 Dr. Boom on turn 6 if you just play out the rest of your hand. But then again, like, I don't think you can really win if you just tap and play defensively here, because that's going to be like if your opponent charges into the Void Caller, that's 7 more to face.
I think I want to mention is early on he decided not to trade into the bombs, and he had already played an obvious turn for the swipe. So yeah, so he saw there was no chance he had a swipe, and then he didn't play around that. Because if he has, you know, let's say before when he had the option of, I guess the option of Force of Nature, if he had 3 or 4 1 health minions with 2 attack instead, and the bombs were gone, I mean, how vastly superior that would be.
I think actually like wild growth here is not that bad. Typically like turn 7 is one of the worst turns to wild growth, but if you wild growth here you can fit in everything.
It's true, yeah. Especially as he's top taking at this point.
Again, Amaz not making the trades. He's playing with the intention of just killing his opponent, forcing his opponent to make the trades, whereas it wasn't the case before with BoarControl. Amaz kind of giving him a lesson on how to go for face, how to smork it up.
And I have to admit, Amaz has played better this series. It's gonna have to be the case here, and we do see him take this 3-1. Well played to him, and he's gonna be facing Gara now.
Yeah.
The final match.
Tempo Storm versus Archon, the rivalry of our times.
Oh. Almost as good as if you were facing Reinhardt, man. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Amaz, he'll move on. Yeah, like you said, I definitely have to agree that Amaz probably played a little bit better in the series, especially in the Zoo games, where I felt like BoarControl was just like true to his name, I guess. He valued board control way too much and just didn't go for face. He didn't like put pressure on his opponent. He didn't force his opponent to make the trades for him, and that's where he lost out. Amaz played a bit more slow. He took advantage of the situation even though he's behind, and it just ended up with Amaz taking the win. Wow, good games though.
For sure. I mean, he played a bit scared, I guess. He started to overthink things. It looked like. I mean, he was playing around every possibility for Amaz to get back into this game, and by that point, I mean, he kind of was talking himself out of play that would have given him a win, especially in the Zoom mirror. I think that was the most obvious case of that. But now we have Gara against Amaz for the last slot in Group C. Be a really close match. I can't wait for that one, honestly.
Yeah, like
so,
whoever wins that match will join like some of the best players in the world. Strive Crow,
Colento, yeah.
Group A, Life Coach advance out of this group. It's just really amazing overall.
Then the Russian player Lostov as well, who made it through. Excellent play there. So the top 8 looks to be stacked, really stacked. But we'll be right back for that series, the last series of the day, Amaz versus Gara for that last slot. We'll see you in a few minutes.
You got spare game codes or any digital goods? There is a place you can sell them in less than 1 minute. Watch. Go to G2A.com. Click Start Selling. Fast Login. Go to My Account and click on Selling tab. Sell new item. Enter name, code, set a price. And done. G2A.com Digital Marketplace. Global selling simplified.